I'm talking to a couple of professors, and I'm not happy. My face, I'm sure it's red. I'm borderline angry, but for sure I'm frustrated. I just asked them, what's the next step? What am I supposed to do after college? And you know what they told me? What do you want to do after college? I've never heard this before. I've got one professor telling me law school is a good choice. I've got another professor telling me to go consider a PhD in economics. I've thought about business school. Somebody told me about getting an MBA, but I really just kind of want to work and start making money. But what's up with all these choices? I don't come from a background where choices were available to me. I just kind of floated through from opportunity to opportunity, trying to figure out what's the next step here. I wanted somebody to tell me the next step. You go to school, you get a degree in economics, and now what? You go do X. But they didn't tell me that. They told me that I had a choice. So this is the first time in my life where I realized I actually get to pick what kind of life I want to live. So fast forward a few years, I start working at this investment company in Minneapolis, and I work with some people whose wives are jazz musicians. They play music, they're into wine, they're into martinis, they're into all these fancy, kind of what I used to consider uppity things that only the fancy people do, right? But there was an appeal to me. So I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be the kind of guy that drinks martinis at jazz clubs. We have this jazz club, the Dakota. I'd like to go to the Dakota, sip a couple of martinis, and watch some jazz. I'd like to get into wine. I'd like to learn a lot more about what the vintages are, what the differences between the different grapes are. What's the terroir? That's a term that I learned. It just means everything about the growing of the grapes. And it was great, and I liked it. But here's what I found out. I used to get this much satisfaction from drinking wine, and as I learned more and more and more, I started to appreciate more expensive wines. But by doing that, I had the same satisfaction as when I was drinking cheap wine and was in the dark. So this kind of hobby was doing nothing but costing me more money. Plus, I never really could get into martinis. I don't like them. I want to like them, but I don't like them. So this is my first kind of understanding that what I thought I wanted out of life was really what my colleagues were telling me, what society was telling me, what culture was telling me I should like if I have this particular job and I live in this particular area. So this is my first experience with I get to choose, no matter what other people want, no matter what other people think, I get to choose what I want out of life. So I still like music, I still like jazz, I still like wine, but I don't always drink wine at jazz clubs. Matter of fact, I rarely drink wine at jazz clubs. Now I really like outdoor concerts with a gin and tonic. Right? I like being outdoors. I like going on walks and runs and hikes and bike rides. I like being active. I like being fit. I like keeping my lifestyle costs low. I like camping. That's going to be different from what other people think and value and want out of life, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. I'm also comfortable with knowing that my tastes, my outcomes, my desires, everything that I like is likely to change again at some point. That's also okay. So this talk is about designing your life, figuring out what you want and designing your life. Designing your life does not mean pick something, etch it in stone, and now you have to follow that no matter what. Designing your life is figuring out what direction do you want to go, throw a flag out there and start making progress towards it. Give yourself permission to change your mind, but have a direction. Find out how you can do this right after this. Hey, thanks for joining. This is Derek Hagan, financial therapist. Thank you for joining me for this Money Health presentation where we talk about designing your life and why you should design your life. Designing your life is kind of a bizarre topic if you haven't really heard about this before. Most people don't do it, as we'll find out. But what does that really actually mean? To design your life is to try to figure out who you want to be, what do you want to do, and then how can you use your money to support that lifestyle. And that's going to be highly individualized. That's going to be on you, and your life design is going to be different from my life design, which is going to be different from your neighbors and my neighbors and somebody else. Right? Who do you want to be? And what do you want to do? That's the question that we're going to ask. Because without any thought, you're going to be like me. We're living like reptiles. Reptiles don't design their life. They just float around from opportunity to opportunity, avoiding threats, chasing the good stuff, but without any clue about what they want in life. None whatsoever. And I want to bring up a subject that's kind of a hard to swallow pill, but we don't have unlimited time. You are going to die. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. So does that change anything? You're going to die, and every single person that you love is going to die. We don't have unlimited time. And knowing that we have this much time left, or this much time left, or this much time left, means we have to be conscious about how we want to spend our time here on Earth. Do we really want to spend it doing nothing, wasting the days away? Or do we want to pick something meaningful and fill our time with what we want to do and who we want to spend it with? I want you to think and understand that it's completely lucky that you are here. And you get a few dozen trips around the sun, and then we're gone. We don't know where we go. If you have beliefs about where we go, that's great. But what we do know for sure is that you have limited time here on Earth. So thinking about what life looks like in the future puts you in rare company. Most people don't do this. The majority of people float through life from circumstance to circumstance without a care in the world, without thinking about anything. That was me for 23 years of my life. Maybe even longer than that. If you take some time and try to figure out what you want out of life, that puts you in a rare minority. People who actually pick what kind of life they want. And what you'll find is that you're going to be happier. You're going to be happier. Spending some time figuring out what you want to do tends to increase your happiness because you have direction now. You've got aim. You've got something that you can work towards. You get to, out of everything that you can do, you get to pick. You get to pick. Society doesn't get to pick. Culture doesn't get to pick. Your neighbors, the Joneses, they don't get to pick. You get to pick. And I want to take a second here, and I think you might be thinking, well, this is a rah-rah goal setting presentation. Not true. I do not like goals. I don't think goals are valuable. I don't think goals are worthwhile. I don't think you need to have goals. Goals, in essence, are some kind of an outcome. One specific outcome. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to run a marathon. I want to run 10 miles every week. I want to save $1,000 by June. I want to retire at 65. Those are specific outcomes. And to understand the difference between the process and the outcome, think about what happens once you achieve that outcome. I want to save $1,000 by June, and then I did it. And that's awesome, and I feel good, and you should feel good, but that is such a fleeting moment. Now what? Now it's July. And you've got your $1,000. Who cares? You don't feel any satisfaction anymore. Think about this. Think about, say you've got a kid, a teenager maybe, and the room is always messy. Right? You might have a goal of having that teenager clean up the room. And maybe through some arguments and through some arm twisting, maybe he or she does clean up that room. Goal's accomplished. You got that specific outcome. The room is clean. But without focusing on the process, without focusing on the system, without implementing new habits, it's going to get dirty again. It's far more important to get the systems down, the underlying stuff that happens to help you achieve that goal. Get that down. And the outcomes will take care of themselves. Process over outcome. That's what we're focusing on. That's what we really want to see. And just like with me trying to be some kind of a jazz club martini aficionado, you want to figure out what you actually want, not what society thinks you should want. This is worthless. Society tells you that you need to do really well in high school and get into a name brand college, and then do really well in college, and then get into law school and name brand law school, and then you get that job at the law firm, and then you got to work really hard so that you can become partner by the time you're 35, and then you got to start a family, and then pretty soon it's 45 and you haven't lived your life. It's worthless to think about what society wants you to do. What do you actually want to do? That's what matters. Spend some time figuring out what you want out of life. Remember, what we're not doing is etching anything in stone. We're writing these things in pencil. We're going to change our mind. We have permission to change our mind. But I want you to think about what direction you want to go and what one step can you take to get there. Remember, if you stand up where you're at right now and look around, and then you take one step in any direction and look around again, the view changed. We get more information, we get more data as we go through life. Sometimes we're going to change our minds because of that, and that's okay. So we're not committing ourselves to anything, but we are looking for direction, and that's good money health.